When we talk about respecting yourself first, we're addressing something that many people overlook in their daily lives. Too often, we hear people say, "I just want to be nice," or "I don't want to rock the boat." And while it's natural to want to be liked and to get along with others, there's a deeper truth we must face. If you don't respect yourself, nobody else will either. Think about the times in your life when you've let others walk all over you, whether it's at work, with friends, or even within your family. You might have stayed silent when someone crossed your boundaries, or maybe you took on more than you could handle because you didn't want to disappoint someone. It feels uncomfortable, right? You might think that being soft and agreeable will make things smoother in the short run, but what happens is you end up compromising your peace and your values. In the end, you're left feeling resentful, exhausted, and undervalued. What's happening here is simple. You're not showing the world that you have value. You're allowing others to dictate how much respect you get by how much you give. If you're constantly giving, people will take. That's the law of nature. If you don't set limits, others won't know where to stop. You see, setting boundaries isn't about being rude or pushing people away. It's about drawing a line in the sand that says, "I matter too." Here's the truth. People treat you based on how you allow them to treat you. If you let people overstep your boundaries, they will continue to do so. But if you stand firm and make it clear that you will not tolerate disrespect, you'll find that others will start to treat you with the respect you deserve. It's not about being harsh. It's about being consistent in your actions and showing the world that your time, energy, and well-being are worth protecting. It's incredibly important to understand that this isn't a weakness. Some may try to label you as selfish or difficult, but don't let that sway you. Self-respect isn't about being rigid or inflexible. It's about knowing that your worth doesn't depend on constantly pleasing others or putting yourself last. The people who respect you for who you are, not just what you give them, will be the ones who truly matter in your life. This is not an easy thing to do. It takes practice, courage, and sometimes it takes uncomfortable moments. But think about it this way. If you want to live a fulfilling life, you have to be able to show up for yourself first. When you don't stand up for your own value, you're telling others that you're not important enough to be treated well. And that's a lie. Sometimes we're afraid to set boundaries because we fear rejection or conflict. But conflict isn't the end of the world. It's just a part of life. Healthy conflict is necessary for growth, both for you and for others. When you stand up for yourself, you're not only teaching people how to treat you, but you're also showing them that they, too, have the power to stand up for what they deserve. And believe me, that's a lesson that can change the dynamic of any relationship. At times, you might think that being constantly giving and accommodating will make you a better person in the eyes of others, but in reality, it makes you more vulnerable to manipulation. You can still be kind, you can still be generous, but being kind doesn't mean being weak. It doesn't mean letting others take advantage of you. It doesn't mean losing yourself in the process. If you want to live a life where you're respected, you have to start by respecting yourself. When you do, you'll find that you're not only attracting the right kind of people into your life, but you're also setting a standard for how you want to be treated. You'll begin to feel empowered in your choices and confident in your interactions. You'll start to trust yourself more because you're no longer afraid to speak up for what's right for you. Remember, self-respect doesn't come from other people's approval. It comes from knowing your own worth, holding yourself to a higher standard, and refusing to tolerate anything less than what you deserve. It's about drawing that line and saying, "I deserve more than this." And when you stand in that truth, everything else in your life will start to shift in ways you never imagined. So, As we think about respecting ourselves, let's remember it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. Your life is your responsibility, and your peace is precious. You cannot expect others to honor you if you don't honor yourself first. And once you do that, you'll find that everything else begins to fall into place. When we talk about tough love, it's not about being unkind or unnecessarily harsh. It's about being honest and firm in a way that drives people toward growth, not just for their sake, but for the sake of the relationship you share with them. Too often, we mistake being soft and agreeable as the kindest approach, but the reality is, sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is to be tough. And yes, that includes holding people accountable, even when it's uncomfortable. Think about the relationships in your life, whether it's with friends, family, or colleagues. You've probably had moments when you knew someone was headed down the wrong path, but out of fear of confrontation, you stayed silent. Maybe you told yourself, they'll figure it out, or it's not my place to say anything. But deep down, you knew that by staying silent, you were enabling them to continue making mistakes that could hurt them in the long run. When you care about someone, you don't let them stumble blindly through life. You help them see the truth, even if it's difficult. This is where tough love comes in. It's about challenging others to rise to their potential. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is to call someone out when they're making a poor decision, even when it's uncomfortable. It's not about criticism for the sake of criticism. It's about love that's rooted in honesty and care. We live in a world where many people are overly sensitive, where they want to hear only what feels good. They're looking for reassurance, affirmation, and comfort, even when what they really need is a dose of reality. When we are always soft and accommodating, we're not giving them what they need, we're giving them what they want. And while that might feel good in the moment, it doesn't do anything to help them grow. If you truly want to see the people around you thrive, you have to be willing to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. That doesn't mean being brutal or uncaring. It means being honest, being real, and offering the kind of insight that helps people improve their lives. It's easy to be nice, to smile and nod, to go along with whatever others want. But what does that really do for them? What does that do for you? Being a true friend, a true partner, or a true leader means challenging others to become better versions of themselves, even when that's difficult. In some cases, tough love is about teaching others how to handle their own challenges, rather than always swooping in to solve problems for them. By constantly rescuing someone, we prevent them from learning the lessons they need to grow stronger. If you're always bailing someone out, they'll never develop the resilience to face life's difficulties on their own, and eventually they'll come to depend on you to do everything for them. It's not fair to them, and it's certainly not fair to you. Think about the most significant figures in your life, whether they're mentors, parents, or friends, who have shaped you into the person you are today. Chances are those individuals didn't just offer you comfort when you were struggling. They pushed you, challenged you, and encouraged you to become stronger, even when you didn't want to hear it. They didn't let you off the hook when you made excuses. They didn't let you settle for mediocrity. And that's exactly what tough love does. It forces you to rise to the occasion, to face your fears, and to step up to your potential. Now, let's be clear. Tough love isn't about being harsh for the sake of being harsh. It's not about belittling someone or making them feel bad for their mistakes. It's about offering constructive criticism, setting boundaries, and helping them learn how to navigate the world on their own terms. There's a difference between being tough and being cruel, and knowing how to walk that fine line is an important skill in any relationship. It's also worth noting that tough love isn't just for others. It's something we need to practice with ourselves as well. We can be our own worst enemies, making excuses, tolerating bad habits, or allowing ourselves to settle for less than we deserve. In those moments, we need to give ourselves a little tough love. We need to remind ourselves that we're capable of more, that we deserve better, and that we shouldn't settle for mediocrity in our own lives. The beauty of tough love is that it's a catalyst for growth. When we challenge others, we're creating opportunities for them to learn, to develop, and to improve. We're not just being critical for the sake of it. We're investing in their future success. We're giving them the tools they need to thrive. And in doing so, we're also helping ourselves become better, stronger individuals who aren't afraid to confront the uncomfortable truths. In the end, the relationships that endure are the ones where both parties are willing to challenge each other to be better. Tough love builds trust and respect because it shows that you care enough to hold someone to a higher standard. It's not always easy, but it's always necessary if we want to see the people in our lives grow and reach their full potential. So, don't shy away from being tough when it's called for. Embrace the challenge of helping others rise to the occasion, even if it's uncomfortable, because in the end, the toughest love is the one that truly helps people become the best versions of themselves. Your energy is precious. You only have so much of it to give each day, and once it's spent, it's gone. We all know that feeling. You wake up full of ambition, ready to tackle the day, and by the end of it, you feel drained, overwhelmed, and sometimes even resentful. The truth is, many of us spend far too much time and energy on things and people that don't deserve it, and we end up with nothing left for ourselves or for the people and things that truly matter. You've probably experienced moments when you've given your all to someone, only to feel like they didn't appreciate it, or worse, they took advantage of your generosity. Maybe it's a friend who constantly leans on you but never offers the same support in return. Or a colleague who demands your time but never acknowledges the effort you put in. The problem here isn't that you're a bad person for helping them. It's that you didn't protect your energy. You gave more than you should have, and now you're left with nothing to give when you really need it. Your energy, your time, and your emotional resources are valuable. They are not infinite, and they certainly shouldn't be treated like they are. Too often, we think that being there for everyone, doing everything for everyone, will somehow make us better or more loved. But the reality is, it only leaves us feeling depleted and unappreciated. You don't have to say yes to every request, every favor, or every obligation. It's okay to say no. It's okay to prioritize your peace, your well-being, and your happiness. We live in a society that encourages us to be constantly available, constantly working, constantly giving, but this mindset doesn't just burn us out, it leads to resentment. You can't keep giving without eventually running dry. Think about a time when you felt completely worn out from helping others. You might have been there for a friend who needed emotional support, or maybe you took on extra responsibilities at work, trying to be the reliable one. And what happened? You got tired, your patience wore thin, your joy was replaced with frustration, and your desire to help others faded. When you don't protect your energy, you're left with nothing to recharge your own batteries. And when that happens, you're no good to anyone, not to yourself, not to the people you love, and certainly not to the work you care about. One of the most powerful things you can do is be selective with where you direct your energy. The people you spend time with, the tasks you take on, and the causes you support all require your energy. And each one of those choices needs to be evaluated. Is this a relationship that adds value to your life? Is this task really worth your time and effort? Are you taking on responsibilities because you truly want to, or because you feel obligated. When you learn to protect your energy by being selective, you free yourself from the weight of things that drain you. You create space for the people and things that truly deserve your focus, your attention, and your passion. It's not about being selfish, it's about being wise. Protecting your energy isn't a sign of weakness or a refusal to help others. It's a sign that you understand your worth. You know that you can't give your best to the world if you're running on empty. Think about the times when you've been fully charged, when you've taken care of yourself, when you've rested, recharged, and filled your cup. You were able to show up for others, to give more freely, and to bring your best self to everything you did. That's the power of protecting your energy. We often don't realize how much of our energy is spent on things that don't serve us. Negative people, toxic environments, and endless distractions drain us without us even noticing. These are the things that take away from your personal growth, your joy, and your peace of mind. The more time you spend on these things, the less time and energy you have for the things that actually matter: your dreams, your goals, and your relationships. The reality is, every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your values or your goals, you're saying no to something that does. Each time you take on someone else's baggage or absorb negativity that isn't yours, you're giving away precious energy that you could be using to fuel your own growth and happiness. This is why it's so important to start setting boundaries, to learn when to walk away, when to say no, and when to protect your peace. Saying no isn't a rejection of others, it's a declaration of self-respect. When you begin to guard your energy, you'll find that you become more focused, more productive, and more aligned with your purpose. You'll begin to attract the right people, those who appreciate your time, value your presence, and reciprocate your efforts. And just as importantly, you'll make room for the things that truly matter: your goals, your passions, and the relationships that lift you up instead of dragging you down. It's also important to remember that protecting your energy doesn't mean you have to cut people off entirely. It simply means knowing who to invest in, when to step back, and when to say no, in order to preserve your mental and emotional well-being. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every person is worth your time. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for someone else is to let them deal with their own issues, rather than constantly trying to solve them for them. It's in those moments that you protect your energy and give them the opportunity to grow on their own. We only have so much energy in a day, so make sure you're spending it wisely. Prioritize yourself and the things that truly matter, because when you protect your energy, you're not just taking care of yourself. You're ensuring that you have enough left to give when it really counts.